Welcome to the WeArePN Social Wellbeing module on empathy. The learning objectives of this module is to examine how your social well-being is also important for your overall well-being, focusing on the empathy component of emotional intelligence. Kalish, 1973, describes empathy as the ability to enter into the life of another person to accurately perceive his current feelings and their meanings. Empathy is an interpersonal skill that requires us to have an understanding and ability to identify and interpret the emotional cues of others. To develop clarity around what empathy is, nursing scholar Teresa Wiseman has conducted an extensive review of the literature. In her article, Wiseman notes that there is some confusion around what empathy is. Many confuse empathy with sympathy. The four main attributes of empathy that Wiseman concluded from her research are perspective taking, or the ability to see things from someone else's point of view, remaining non-judgmental, or seeing things without forming your own critical opinion or conclusion, recognizing emotions in other people, or identifying how someone else is feeling in the moment, and finally, communicating that understanding to demonstrate that you respect their perspective. Therefore, in order to be truly empathetic, all four of these defining attributes must be present for the concept of empathy to occur. Overall, there is a general agreement that these four attributes are what define empathy, and without one of these elements, literature suggests that you do not have empathy. The following short video by Brené Brown provides a clear, simple, and engaging breakdown of empathy.
So what is empathy, and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with four qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, "I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed." And then we look and we say, "Hey, you can climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone." Sympathy is, "Ooh, it's bad, no, you want a sandwich?" Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with "at least." Yeah. And we do it all the time. Because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So, I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, "I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so glad you told me." Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
As mentioned in Brené Brown's video, Empathy fuels connection. As you will learn later on in the social skills portion of these modules, this connection, in the form of relationships, is important for both your emotional and your social well-being. It is important to remember that empathy is broadly defined. Because empathy is often confused with sympathy, some people have a misunderstanding of what empathy is. Empathy is crucial for all healthcare professionals, and because nurses spend the most time interacting with patients and families, understanding empathy is especially important. Being empathetic shows people that you truly do care. Some even believe that empathy is what distinguishes a good nurse from an excellent nurse, and there's even some research to suggest that nurses' ability to show empathy affects their ability to provide effective care to patients. Sometimes, as healthcare providers, your workload impacts your care and the time that you have to spend with clients and their families. When you are providing care to a client, do you find it hard to imagine what emotions they're experiencing, or is it difficult to put yourself in their shoes, so to speak? Do you ever find yourself judging people without fully understanding their situation? In order to become empathetic, you need to become self-aware. By doing so, you gain the ability to see your own perspective and develop an understanding of your personal point of view, so that you can enter into the world of your client while suspending judgment. If you are not self-aware, you would not have an understanding of what your perspective is and how it differs from the perspectives of others. Self-awareness can be developed by engaging in mindfulness activities. As you practice being mindful, you become more self-aware. There are a wide range of mindfulness activities, whether it's engaging in meditation, listening to a guided audio track, or simply just going for a walk in a quiet place and enjoying nature. It can be developed as a simple habit, or as an intentional time that you take out of your day to develop this skill. As you've just learned, one of the defining attributes of empathy is communicating understanding. In order to communicate to others that you recognize the situation they are in, you need to develop your social skills. Are you able to recognize the body language of someone who is stressed, angry, or feeling overwhelmed? If you are able to recognize these cues, what would you say to help communicate that you have this understanding? These are all skills that are developed by having an awareness of social cues and by engaging in social interactions to practice identifying these cues. In the next section of these modules, you will focus on the social skills component of emotional intelligence and how to further develop your social skills. Remember, the WeRPN module on mindfulness is an excellent resource to help you develop a strong understanding of this concept and how it relates to multiple domains of self-care. This module can be found in the mental well-being section of the WeRPN self-care practice resources.